Okay, good evening everybody. So let us start our lecture tonight. Today is January 19. Okay, and as usual, let us see our schedule first. So this is the start of our second week. So in this week, we will discuss reference parameter and call by value, call by reference, and array list correct and generics. So this week, but let us start from our last week's lecture where we left in our last week lectures. So I think resources. Okay, by the way, I have extended policy and syllabus quizzes for you. Okay, please check the quizzes by the deadline. So this new deadline will be 24th. Okay. So in the policy and syllabus quizzes, you can take unlimited time until you reach 100 points. So take it and achieve full points. Okay. So if there are 12 quizzes, maybe the lowest 2 quizzes will be dropped. So then you can get 100% from these 2. That's easy. Okay. So maybe in our last lecture we discussed module 1 part 1, and today we will discuss module 1 part 2. So in our last lecture we discussed this, right? Variable and then conditional statements, methods, return type and return statement. We discussed that if a method has a return type void, still it can have a return statement. It cannot return any value, but still it can return a statement. And in our last lecture I discussed searching, right? Replete linear search, for example 1 in C#, and should be also in Java. Binary search, linear search. The linear search is 2-dimensional array. Linear search 2-dimensional array, Java, and then C#. Okay. Okay, this is the program I discussed in our last lecture. Okay, so I can send you the link of this program. Okay, and this is C#. That was in Java. Okay. So in your test, you may get a question to do a linear search or searching a number. Oh yeah, searching a number in using 2-dimensional array. Okay, but it is, you see that this is an important. So if you are given a flat list, you have to organize this according to the requirement. So this is, so can anyone please tell me what is the dimension of this array? What is the dimension of this array? How many rows and how many columns? Still it's not working. Give me 1 second. Oh. Got it. Okay. So, can anyone please tell me what is the dimension of this array? Yes, 3 rows, okay, and 6 columns, right? So 3 and 6 columns, okay. So apparently in some languages allow you to give 3 by 6 over here, okay, but some languages do not allow, like Java does not allow you to give the dimension value over here if you give actual value. If you give actual value, then the compiler expects to retrieve the row and column automatically. Okay. So this is the way. Is my data is my array name dot length. It will give the how many so length, that is length. So after 1 comma, after each comma, so this one will consider one element. This one will be considered one element, and this one will be considered one element. So 3. So my data dot length, it will be 3. So that is our array. So row, right? Number of rows, okay. And then column is my data 1. So my data I, that means is 0 here, and then length. That means it has length. Then length will be 1, 2. You see that it has length 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is how in some languages automatically gets the length or dimension of an array. So how do we get it? So here, so let me review it. So my data dot length, so that the my data, if it's a flat array, so then it is one element. Okay, within before comma will be separator. One element, 2 elements, second element, third element. Okay, the last one does not require to give a comma. So then my data dot length will give you 3. That is our perfect row number, right? How many rows I do have? 3 rows. And then whenever I get the first row, then what is the length of this first row? Whatever row is, the row is we are giving 0, 2. So whatever I'm getting here, so 0 for 0, it is length is 6. And then it is getting 1. So when it getting 1, then length will be 6 also. And then here for this length will be 6 also. So if you see that, how do we use this length for a 2-dimensional array? Has anyone any question? I gave you the link of this program, so please practice. Okay. And here, so here in C#, so just I can do this is hard coded. Hello. Okay. So 3, that means 3 hard coded, and this is 4 for the column. Okay, but you can change it. Spend some time to change it, not from this hard coded length to dynamic length. Okay. This is your task I'm giving you. I can do it in a minute, but I'm not doing it. Spend some time, okay, to learn it. Okay, has anyone any question? So this is what we discussed in our last lecture. Okay, one thing that in length is an attribute in C#, which L is in uppercase, and Java L is in lowercase. Okay, and then we discussed this in our last lecture. So once you can do it, you can do something else. If you can do this program, how to find a specific element, you can do other thing. You can do the second largest element or second lowest element, third largest, third lowest. So for your interview preparation, you need to do that also. Okay. And then for the coding interview that are coming with, especially for Microsoft, Google, and then Facebook for large organization, they give you something more difficult. Okay, and that's what we discussed in our first lecture. So if you don't have any question, then I want to go to the next lecture today. Next slide. Has anyone any question? Okay, that's good. So now in our second slide, is review of object-oriented programming. Okay. So we discussed a class. What is a class? A class is a user-defined data type, right? A custom data type. So we declare a class to declare a type, to make a type. Everyone in this world has a type. If we ask a question, what is it? Then the result or the answer we get, maybe this is a computer, this is a pen or something that is in common noun we say, right? So that is a class. A class itself is a concept, it is not visible. Okay, if I ask you, say, call me a student, okay, then what you will do? If I ask you, call me a student, call a student for me. Okay. Yeah, so then you will call actually a human being, right? A human being, right? Or a person. So then, in order to justify that, if I ask you to call a student, you brought me someone, your friend or someone, right? So then you will justify that a student has some criteria, like for instance, some features. A student goes to school, he goes to school. Okay. A student has a name, he has a name. A student has an ID number, he has an ID number. So that means he is a student. But actually, as a student, we see a person, right? An instance of kind of an instance or a person or a human being of type student. But think about that in deeply. We cannot see actually student. We see it as a man, as a student, right? Like something when we look at when you drive our car, right? Then there is a windshield. It's called windshield, the glass, big glass, right? Okay. Or even whenever you look at go to bathroom, washroom, and you look at and stand in front of a glass or mirror, what do you see? Maybe glass or mirror. What do we see? It depends on the way how do we see it, right? In one kind of view, we can see actual glass or mirror, right? In one kind of view, we can see actual glass or mirror. In another view, we see the picture, maybe in front or back, right? So, in order to understand class and object, we need to think that way. We need to think like abstractly. Okay, critical thinking. So then I want to say the class is a name of a type. A class contains two things, some variables. Everything in this world has some value, actual data. So that data goes to under variable, and some function. Everything in this world has some functionalities, right? The function goes under method. Okay, and then when we create an actual object or instance of that class, we give the value of the instances or the attributes, and we define the functions. How do we want the functions to be working? Okay, so for instance, in real life, if I want to make a class as a dog, so what are the attributes a dog may have? A dog may have rabbit or not rabbit, that is say yes or no, true or that means false, true or false, that Boolean type. It has weight, number, it may have a name, it has a color, right? It has age, and blah, 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 blah. And those are the variables or attributes or characteristics. And then what are the behaviors of a dog? A dog eats, right? A dog barks, a dog walk, a dog run, right? Those are the function action. Okay, so in order to declare a class as a dog, we need to combine those. Okay. This is the concept of object-oriented programming that you learn in 1321. So this is a class dog, and this is in pseudocode format. In pseudocode format, I'm sorry, this is in pseudocode. So in pseudocode, we use class. In Java, if this is Java, then we see it in lowercase. Class is in lowercase. So class is an attribute. So this is dog, and then these are the variable. Okay. And then we say Boolean rabbit, and we say equal to false. So this is one way, is a naive way to declare a class, and then is variable. Assign the attributes, characters, value of the characters or attributes at the time of declaring a class, but that is not a good way. So that means all dog instance will have rabbit false value. All dog elements will have weight 0. All dog elements will have empty name empty. But later we can change it. We can change these values. So there are two ways to change these values. One is using dot operator from another class, using dot operator, using object dot attribute name, or using constructors or getter or setter methods. Right? So these are the things. A constructor is a special method or function of a class that has exactly same name of its class name. So why do we use a constructor? A constructor is used to create an initialize an instance of a class. Instantiate the values to the actual features, attributes, or characteristics. Okay. A class may have multiple constructors. The constructor that is empty, that has nobody, that is called default constructor. So for instance, this is called overloaded constructor. Let me see if a constructor can have, a class can have multiple constructor. If you say dog, then this, okay, this is a default constructor. How do we know that this is a constructor? Okay, then let us see what is not a constructor. So is this a constructor? No. Why is it not a constructor? Yes, a constructor name is a method. So it is a method, right? This is a symbol of method. Its name must be same name, exactly the class name. Exactly case sensitive. So D must be lowercase. Okay, what are other features of a constructor? What are other features of a constructor? A constructor cannot have a return type. Even it cannot have void. Okay, so you cannot say void. You cannot say void something or int something. A constructor cannot have a return type or return statement. Okay, a constructor has exactly same name of a class name. Can a class have multiple constructors? Yes, right? The first constructor here, that is called empty constructor. Some authors say this is a default constructor. Or some people say also, so they put like this kind of default value here. So then some people say when they give value over here, for instance, rabbit equal to like this. And then weight equal to 0. And that's it. So some people say that this is default constructor, so it is getting default value. But some people say that this is not default. Actually, the empty one was default. So there is a different opinion, different people. Okay, but whatever you say, but this is default constructor get default value, and this is overloaded constructor. A class can have multiple methods with the same name. Whenever a class can contain multiple methods with exactly same name, but different types or different number of parameters, Okay. So if they have different number of parameters or different type of parameters, hopefully the body or action or the function will be some kind of different functions, right? There will be some different functions. So these are called method overloading. Okay. And there is one thing that is called method overriding. We will know that when we discuss inheritance. Okay, so the driver method is a driver, that means we call the main method. A program has a main method. So a class, if a program file can contain multiple classes, but it depends on the language to language. Okay, like in Java, so it depends on, like in Java, if you use Eclipse. In Eclipse, once that you should name the class file name exactly same name of its class name, public class name. And a Java file contains only one public class. But a file can have multiple classes, but one of them only will be public, other will be default or private. Okay. So here, so what happens? So can anyone please tell me what is meant by these two statements? So usually we create an instance or an object of a class with the main method or driver method or one other method or from another class, in another class. Okay, this method, main method, may be in another class. Okay, and then what do we say? We say dog, this is type, right? And J1 and J2. J1 and J2 are two instances of dog. So then we say that whenever our type is not one of the 8 primitive data types, then this instance is called an object, not a variable, right? If I would say int J1 and J2, then I would say J1, J2 are variable. Okay. But whenever I say dog J1 and J2, this dog is not int or one of the primitive data types, right? So then we say this is an object. Similarly, when a person goes to school, then we call them a student, right? If he does not go to school, then we do not say him a student. Okay? So here the declaration of an object, two objects actually is declared here, J1 and J2, and whatever we are doing here, the second line we are saying J1 equal to new dog, then 14 comma Bob. So by this statement, what we are doing, we are initializing the dog, a dog object. What is the dog object here? J1, by the way, right? With the value using, this is the constructor, a new operator is needed to create a new object. It will take place in computer memory. And how does it take computer memory is beyond our knowledge for now. In order to learn that, you need to learn higher level programming. You need to understand how computer programming language is generated. Okay, so then in your third year or fourth year, you will take how the it's a programming language generation or PLC, or it's called compiler design. How to design computer programmer compiler. You learn that. So here the 14 is going against a variable. The dog instance has two variables. The first variables is getting 14 value and second one is getting Bob name. Okay. And this is the two way, but there is another way. I could say, let me do it here. There is another way. For instance, let me keep it here and then say, I can say this is another way, dog J2 equal to new dog J2. Maybe I can say 15 and then Bobby. So this line, it combines these two statements. They do the same thing. Okay, this is the combinations. For instance, we say, sometimes we say int x equal to 10, right? It has two things. First one declares integer variable x, and second times it does assign x equal to 10. So it does something. Okay. And then whenever we create a variable in it, like this way, when you do this way, so it takes a computer space in memory like this, a space, and its values are null. Initially values are empty. Okay. And then whenever we assign actual value, then this variable, this object gets actual value. So maybe if we go to the next few slides, then we see how this field it works. Rabbit equal to false, and then weight getting 14, and then and like this way. Okay. We discussed this in 1321. So has anyone any questions so far? I need to go quickly these slides. Okay. And then we can add any number of methods in our class. A method is actually a function, right? When a function is defined within a class, that is called a method. What does a class method do? A class method can be used to do anything, but usually it should do something relevant to the class. Right? Whatever the class variables it has, it should access those, and then it should do some operation. So believe me, in academia, you will learn the fundamentals, how to declare a simple class. But when you go actual job, you will see that you will be able to declare a large class. You will be able to handle a project that has 100 or 1,000 classes, maybe not 1,000, maybe 100 or several hundred classes, and you will be able to do that. Remember that when you are taught how to drive in a large field, like local way, right? And then ultimately, when you got your driver license, by the time you got your driver license, you are able to drive in a freeway or a highway, right? With high speed. Usually people, but you just need two things. One is self-motivation. Okay. I think this is the main thing. If you are self-motivated, then think about that other people can do it. Why not me? If you set up your mind, then that way, then you will be able to do it. Okay. It is not a rocket science. But by the end of this semester, you will be learning something to develop a program for rocket science. Okay, you'll be learning, but don't worry. But from the very beginning, I'm telling you that for this course, please be serious from the beginning. Okay. Please do not lag behind. So if you think that I will starting after 2 weeks, you will be behind. Okay, still I extended the quiz syllabus and policy quiz for a week. I got some emails, some students that they forgot to do that. That means you are not serious for this course. So if you forget at this time, that means you did not log in. I will check who logged in, who did not log in this weekend. Okay, and send you a notification, reminder. But that is not a good thing, please. So if you go slowly, little by little, every day or every week, you will be good. Okay, so this is a main method. So the sample main method we can do. So this is called dot operator. Okay, dot operator is very simple use. Okay, dot operator is used to access an instance of a class. Okay, using the object, using dot operator. So we say whenever I have J1 and J2 objects, so and then I can say J1.eat, that means it has a eat method. I said it has. So who it has an eat method? Huh? No. Think about it. Rethink it. Where is the eat method defined? inside the dog class, right? Okay, so the dog class has a method named eat, right? And that is a parameterized method. It takes one argument. So the instance, dog instance, has access to the dog. And another thing you need to assume that the eat method is a public method. Private. Private method cannot be accessed using dot operator. Okay, so private method is used to access okay, so private methods are accessed through through getter and setter methods. So you hear the name getter and setter methods. Getter and setter methods are usually public methods used to access private elements. Of course, private element, but you can access public elements as well as using getter and setter. Okay. So in 1321 also we used how to declare a getter and setter method. So here, so what is this dog and this dog? So let us recap. So this dog is, what is this one? This method name is called constructor, right? So it is this, some people say it is a default constructor, but some people say this is also default constructor if it has nothing. Okay, and this is overloaded constructor. Okay, so this is an example, actual example in Java format, a class example. So the class name is BMW underscore G4, and then this is constructor, this is another constructor. Okay, so I believe everybody knows this. And then what is this? What is this called? An object, right? Okay, this is an object, this is an object. Okay, and this object uses default constructor, right? And this object uses overloaded constructor, this object uses overloaded constructor, but both of these uses overloaded constructor, but they pass different value. Okay, one thing I need to give you a reminder. I used to in one semester, at least one semester, I did not go through the slide page by page. Okay, I went through only live program, but some students complained that teacher did not cover the slides because there are some quiz questions that are in from the slides. Okay, so it is a great dilemma for teachers, for me, like me teachers, that if we skip the slides, then you will think that okay, teacher did not. If I skip the slide, then some student may think that teacher did not cover the slide. And if I go over the slide, some of you maybe think that, oh, teacher is reading the slide. I can do that. I could do it faster. Okay. So it is a great dilemma for us. So what I decided to do both. Okay, I will go to the slide quickly, and then we'll go to the live program. Okay, please be patient. Okay, so we learn public and private methods. So a private method is used to secure data, to hide some an attributes or an object value from outside world. Okay, so for instance, everybody as a human being or as a student, we have some secure information, right, that we do not like to disclose publicly, right? What are those? Do you have some secure information that you don't like to publish publicly? Yes, at least tell me at least one. Like social security number, SSN, right? We don't want to disclose the social security number to publicly, but sometimes we need to give it to someone else to use it, right? For instance, remember that think about that first time when you came to KSU to get your admission done, right? So you have to, you gave your social security number to a person, right? You disclose your social security number, right? But you gave to a trusted person, a person you believed he or she was trusted, right? She would not misuse your number, right? But if you would say that, no, I'm not giving you my social security number, then would you be able to get admitted? No, you are not get admitted, right? So then, similarly, if you go to make a bank account, you need to disclose your driver license number, and then address, date of birth, social security number, right? So we as a human being, we disclose some of our private information. We want to disclose securely, right? So that we want to make sure that this will not be misused. This will be used but not misused, right? So in program, in object-oriented program, what is the concept that is called to use some attributes or information secretly or privately? Okay, that is called encapsulation. That's good answer. How an encapsulation is implemented? Okay, let me elaborate encapsulation. What is called encapsulation? Maybe it is new for some student. So we think that in encapsulation, this word capsule came from the word capsule, right? Encapsulation came from the word capsule. So what do we mean by capsule? So this is a capsule. Maybe sometime we take this capsule as an antibiotic or something, right? A capsule is wrapped up with some plastics, and inside the plastic there are some ingredients, right? Actual medicine. So we usually do not chew or eat this plastic, but when we take this medicine as medicine, we eat the capsule, right? Do we break the capsule and then eat it? No, we eat the capsule, right? Including the plastics. So that means the capsule, it comes that it wraps up the ingredients, okay? So whenever you buy a capsule, if it is broken or leaked, we will not buy it, and we will not take it, right? We will not use it, right? So same thing in programming language, if you want to make sure that it will be encapsulated or secured, we declare the variable as private. Okay, and we use getter and setter methods to access those private values. Okay, or we use constructor. Okay, so in a class, so like a capsule in a class, all the methods, the functional methods, especially the private attributes, are encapsulated. That means tightened together, so that they cannot be distinguished separately. Okay, they can be used, for instance, when you cook something, a noodle or some curry, or when you cook something, right? You use some ingredients: rice, flour, salt, sugar, other stuff, right? Chili, onion. So when after you cook, right? If there is something missing, we can realize, right? We test it. If there's less or more salt, we realize it, right? Hey, I forgot to add salt, right? But when after we cook, can we separate the salt, sugar, pepper? No, we cannot. We can test it, we can use it, those, but after we were done, those actually become encapsulated. We cannot separate them, right? So in object-oriented programming is the concept of developing program in real-life format, whatever we do in our real life. So similar concept, encapsulation concept, is used using public, declaring some attributes or methods as public. Okay. So whenever we discuss inheritance, we will know in depth about the accessibility and the difference between public, private, and protected. Okay, but for now, maybe we can skip this. Okay, so Okay, I will skip this slide. So these are cell keyword. I will show it in a live program. Okay. So here, okay, maybe I can give it here. So here we say these are the attributes, right? These are the fields, right? And these are dogs. What are this called? Whenever some variables are declared within the parenthesis of a method, that variables are called. It has a special name. Parameters, right? Okay. Okay, or argument. So whenever we give, this is the formal parameter. Okay, whenever some parameters, a parameter has exactly same name of a class field name, then it will not work. So in order to work it, we need to use this dot rabbit equal to rabbit. It will not work. So we need to use like this way, this dot rabbit equal to rabbit. That means this object's rabbit equal to this rabbit. So if you give this way, it will not work. It will not work because compiler will be confused. So which rabbit is this one? Is this one? Is this one, or is this is this one? Okay. But if they have a different name, for instance, if I say rabbit R in uppercase, then I can say R in uppercase, it will work. Then I don't need to use this, okay? But if I have different, and then still I can use this. So use of this is optional when my field name or class attribute name is different than the method's parameter name. Then if it is different, then this is optional. Using this dot is optional. But if they are exactly same, then we must use this. Okay, these operators it ensures that every object gets its own value, and one object value does not mix with another object value. For instance, in our real life, if I ask let us what is your name? What is your name? What is your name? What is your name? Okay, what is your name? Okay, so you see that I asked same question, what is your name, right? But I got answer, different answer, right? So I'm happy then, right? This is really that happens, right? But if I ask, what is your name, what is your name, what is your name, and if everybody asks me Kevin, told me Kevin, would I believe it? I would be confused, no? What happens? Really? It's possible everybody has same name? Or are you kidding with me? Right? So, that means we want to ensure that your name goes with you, his name goes with him, his name goes with him, and your name goes with you, right? And whenever you use your data, your name, you will use your name. You will not use his name. Right? So same thing that is implemented or ensured in programming using this dot. It separates the value because every object has rabbit instance, right? Every dog object has rabbit, every dog object has weight, every dog object has name. But by using, if we do not use this, then what will computer, the compiler program will be confused. Compiler will be confused. Hey, wait for which dog? There are many dogs, right? There may have many dogs. So which one will go with whom? So in order to distinguish that, we use this operator. In some languages, it is called self. In some languages, it is called me. Okay, so but concept is same. Okay, and maybe one more thing that we use. Okay, I'm coming back to string method. We use toString method. Why do we use toString method? To display an object in string format. Okay, I will show you in live program, but one other thing is that we use static method. Okay, the static is a keyword that can use multiple purposes. One of the main purpose is to declare a variable or a function named as static. Sorry, make a static. That static means it is a common class wise. It is common for all instances of a class. Okay. For instance, so if I ask everybody, what is your, so for instance, what is your major? If say computer science. If I ask you, what is your major? Say computer science, right? If everybody has major, same major, computer science, okay? Or at least everybody has the college name as KSU, yeah, right? So it should be a misuse of my time to declare a variable name your institution name and ask everybody to give your institution. Rather, I can create a static variable like institution and give a common name like KSU, right? And assign that to everybody because everybody here has the institution name is KSU, right? So that is used to static method is used to mark that is to declare a variable that is common for class wise. Okay, you should notice that our main method is a static method. In Java and in C++, C#, we declare the main method as a static method. Okay, so sometimes we declare some variable as a static variable, or so maybe if I can with some. So static attribute in C#, static test in Java, static attribute Java. So I have two programs. So here my main class and I have my dog class. So a class can contain, a file can contain, a program can contain multiple classes, okay? So here one class go outside of another class. So this is the end of this main class that starts in line number 3. So in this class, in some languages, a class can be either before or after. In some languages, there is restriction that the class you use must be declared before you use it. Okay. So this is dog class. Okay, and then let us this dog ID. This is the field, right? And what is this one? Dog constructor. Okay, and this is dog. What is this one? Is another dog constructor, right? Is overloaded constructor, and it is another method like get dog ID. This is a getter method. Okay, a getter method returns a value. Okay, and this is set dog ID, set dog count. Maybe set it is set method. Maybe I could say something set. The setter method set dog ID. What is that ID type? Is int dog ID. So int dog ID, and then setter method is declared as like this dot dog ID, this dot dog ID equal to dog ID. Okay. A setter method is used to set some value, and a getter method is used to get some value, that to return some value. Okay, here, so the main method is always static method. Okay, if a method is declared as a static, that becomes special. Okay, for instance, in this world, there are some people who are worldwide familiar, right? Everybody knows him, right? For instance, our President Donald Trump. Mr. Trump, everybody knows Mr. Trump, right? If you go any country, like maybe an elementary school student, if you go my country, Bangladesh, or even an African country, or Asian country, or European country, everybody knows him, right? Maybe a school-going student, school-going student, or maybe many people know him. So these people are familiar, nationwide familiar. First of all, they are familiar with maybe nationwide, then they become familiar with internationally, right? Okay, so whenever someone is called like Mr. Trump, then everybody will guess that I am referring the Trump, US Trump, right? US president, right? But there are maybe 100 or 1,000 people who have the same name in this country or in this world, right? But in general, whenever I say Mr. Trump, then maybe people guess that I am referring to the person that is US president. Or if I say Barack Obama, same thing. People think that I'm referring to the former US president, right? And if I say Joe Biden, then people guess that I'm referring the US president-elect, right? So these people are nationwide familiar. So in programming language, we declare that in order to make nationwide familiar or program-wide familiar as static. So whenever we say static, so dog counter, this dog counter is a variable. It is not related to a specific object of a dog. It is commonly or popular to the entire dog class. Okay, but so what happens? What is the interesting thing that whenever we create a dog instance, whenever we declare this dog counter as static, then if we run this program, and then what is the constructor is doing? Every time I'm creating a dog object, calling this, it is increasing dog counter. Okay. For instance, a static variable is used to count how many objects are being created. Okay, I don't need to manually count how many objects are being created. If I declare a variable as static, as a counter, so every time if I wherever I have my constructor, I will just increment the counter. Okay, and then wherever I am creating dog, then at this point my dog counter will be 1. So initially it was 0, right? So then every time I call this dog constructor, so dog constructor, it has an instruction that is incrementing the dog. So then at this point, what will be my dog counter value? 1, right? At this point, dog counter will be increasing by 2. At this point, 3. At this point, 4. At this point, 5. So if I run at this point dog counter, then what will be my dog counter value? 5. Okay, so let us run this code and then we'll see. I'm sorry. Int is, so there is an error. It says set dog int id. Okay, set dog. Okay, so int
Hey, Professor, I think you muted yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So at this point, what will be my output? Just I got rid of static. Oh, no, it's not same. If it is same, then what is the value of, what is the benefit of using static? Okay, it is giving an error because non-static member. Okay, there is another error. I'm telling you that is a problem. So then if it is this, then it will not give me same value. But there is another option, another error, and there is an issue using static member is that what is my method using here? My main method is using the static modifier, right? Okay, another thing is that there are special rules for static. Okay, one thing is that a static variable is called by its class name, not by an individual name, object name. Okay, I cannot say d1 dot counter. Okay, so d1 dot counter. So counter accessed with instance. So since some compiler it does not show error, but some compiler it will show an error. So here is that actually I need to give dot. The reason is that, remember the reason, because here my dog counter is, as I give you an example, right? It is familiar nationwide, right? Or internationally, right? So in order to say Barack Obama, US former president, I don't need to say former US president. If I say Barack Obama, then people will understand, should understand, right? So then, or if I commonly say Barack Obama of USA, then everybody will understand, right? The US former president. Same thing. So in order to access a static member, we should, since the static member is class wide, so we need to use class name, not the individual object name. That is one rule, special rule. Another rule is that a static method cannot call a non-static method. So my main is static, right? So the protocol does not allow. For instance, a president should not have a friendship with someone like me, a simple person, right? But if I would be president of another country, I should have a good friendship with another president, right? The protocol restrict them not to go anywhere, anytime, right? Due to security reason, right? A president or a high official cannot go anytime, anywhere. In order to go there, they have to maintain a lot of things, right? They have to send their security person ahead of time, a lot of police vehicles, and then emergency cars, and then maybe ambulances, right? So a non-static, a static method cannot call it. This is an ambiguous question. Okay, this is an interview question. Can a static method call a non-static method, or can a non-static method call a static method? Okay, a static method cannot call a non-static method. Let us see the example. If I delete this one, it will give an error. So somewhere it says that a static method cannot call a non-static method. Okay, now let us create another class. So this one, another method, this one to non dog counter or set dog counter. This is not setter method. Maybe another method. Let's say dog counter. Dog counter. So this dog counter. Let me double check that it has. Okay, so don't confuse. This is dog counter is. So let me go back. So this is a method. Okay. So is this a static or non-static? So a non-static method can call a static method. Okay, it does not need a protocol. Okay. So, but a static method cannot call a non-static method. So let me see this like let me see. Let me double check it. Okay, so it is still confusing even in some languages. So let me see. Dog counter equal to plus dog counter. If this works, let us see. Okay, it works. This is non-static method can call a static instant. Okay, but if I have another method like public static void, maybe let me get a different get dog counter. Okay, oh, I'm sorry, maybe I can get this one simple way. Okay, get dog ID. Okay, so dog ID, dog ID. So my goal is to check whether this static method dog ID, get dog ID, or show dog ID. Show dog ID can have access to dog ID that is a non-static, right? So the static method let me show you, shoot and get an error. So static method cannot access a non-static method instance due to the protocol. Okay, a president cannot go anywhere anytime. He needs security, right? He needs to send his security first over there, and then. So you understand this one? This is a tricky question and interview question. Okay, so did I send you this? So this is in C#, same thing in Java. Okay. So please practice this one. Okay, if some people please send me the link of today's lecture link because I messed up. You see that it did not work. And same thing, I have this one with Java. So please practice these programs, okay? And I have 2 more minutes. Let me see what do I have left. Okay, so that I discussed static modifier and toString method. Okay, and then true. So almost every dog class. Okay, I have dog class example on C# and I have dog class example in Java. Dog class. Okay, so the program, the slide I discussed here is almost same thing. Okay, so this program, if you practice this program, then you should be able to do this. Okay, due to my limited time, I could not go through the programs, but I think you got my program URL and open it and copy it to your account, okay, and practice it, okay. And in your test, you will get some test questions like quiz questions about static modifier, and then whatever I discussed in today's lecture. Has anyone any questions so far? Is everybody good? Okay, how many of you do have Replit account? Everybody has, right? Okay, if you do not have, please do it tonight. Create a Replit account tonight, please. It is free. And you have to have it, okay? And practice this program. Okay, one more thing. This lecture class does not have any homework. Lecture class does not have any homework, but sometime I will give you homework. You don't need to turn in the homework to me, but you must turn it to yourself. Okay? Whenever I ask to practice some program, please practice. Otherwise, you will be behind. Okay? So as I told you that I would teach you how to walk. In order to learn how to run in the field of object-oriented programming, you need to practice yourself. I cannot practice for you. Okay? Has anyone any questions so far? Everybody is happy? Okay. Thank you so much, and have a good night. So people who are joining online, has anyone any question? Okay, so please send me an email with the lecture link that you used to join today. Thank you.